sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, so we're diving into Apple today. You sent over the press release for this new iPhone 16e.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, this one kind of has like sleeper hit written all over it.
I think you're right. It's fascinating how Apple is positioning this phone. They're really leaning into this whole like affordable power narrative.
Yeah.
But without like sacrificing key features.
Yeah, you usually expect when a new iPhone comes out and it's not the top of the line model,
Right.
that there's going to be some corners cut, but the 16e seems to be challenging that.
Absolutely. It's a smart play, especially with like what's going on in the economy right now.
Yeah.
People want value, but they don't want to feel like they're settling.
Exactly. So let's start with the design. It's classic Apple sleek minimalist, available in black or white matte finish. But then you see that claim, toughest back glass in a smartphone.
Right.
Are they going for the indestructible iPhone here?
Durability is a big selling point now. People keep their phones for longer, so it needs to last. And you combine that with that ceramic shield front that we've seen be so impressive in the past. I mean, this phone is designed to take a beating.
Yeah, I remember when we had to charge our phones like 3 times a day.
Oh, yeah?
They're saying the 16e gets 6 hours more battery life than the iPhone 11, 12 more than any iPhone SE.
That's incredible.
So imagine like you could be out hiking all day,
Yeah.
using the camera using GPS, and still have juice left over.
It's wild. And it's not just a bigger battery. I mean, it likely is.
Right.
But it's the A18 chip's efficiency combined with Apple's first like custom designed cellular modem, the C1,
Wow.
built on a 3-nanometer process. I mean, these transistors are tiny.
Right.
So you're cramming more power in while using less energy. It's a huge leap in power management.
So they're squeezing more power and efficiency
Exactly.
out of this chip. But let's be real. For the average user, does an 80% faster CPU even matter? Or is this really for that mobile gaming revolution they keep hinting at?
It'll make everyday tasks snappier for sure. But the A18 is clearly flexing its muscles when it comes to games. The 4-core GPU is capable of hardware-accelerated ray tracing,
Oh, wow.
which is huge for realism. Think compo-quality graphics.
Really?
Maybe not the exact same games, but the gap is definitely closing.
Yeah, ray tracing on a phone, that's a whole other level of immersion.
Absolutely.
But what about this Apple Intelligence thing? Isn't this just Siri with like a new name? What makes this truly different?
It's more than just a name change. It's about how deeply they're weaving AI into the entire phone experience. And the big emphasis here is on device processing. So a lot of that AI magic is happening right there on your iPhone.
Okay.
It's like a mini data center in your pocket, so your info isn't constantly being sent to Apple servers.
Okay, so they're trying to alleviate some of those privacy concerns that people have, especially that whole like Big Brother feeling that some folks get.
Exactly. They're even using something called private cloud compute for tasks that need more power, but they claim your data isn't stored there. It's all about giving you the benefits of AI without compromising your privacy.
Now, onto the feature that really caught my eye, the action button. One button for camera, flashlight, Shazam.
It's so cool.
But it can also launch specific actions in other apps. So like if I'm at a museum, could it pull up info on an exhibit just by like pointing my camera at it?
The real power of that action button is the visual intelligence tied to it. You point your camera at something, text a landmark, even a plant. And the action button taps into Apple Intelligence to give you more information. It can summarize text, translate languages, identify plants and animals. It can even tap into Google Search and ChatGPT for more info.
Wow.
But you're in control of whether that data gets shared.
So it's not just a shortcut button. It's almost like having like a superpower right click for the real world.
I love that.
Speaking of capturing the world, the camera's no slouch either.
No.
48 MP fusion camera with a 2S telephoto built in.
Amazing.
That's like having 2 cameras in one, and they're really pushing that computational photography angle with HDR night mode, all that jazz.
It's a continuation of what Apple's been doing, squeezing amazing performance out of those mobile cameras. We're talking 4K video with Dolby Vision at 60 FPS.
Wow.
Professional level stuff right in your pocket.
All this power needs juice, though, which is where that impressive battery life comes in.
Right.
But honestly, while that satellite SOS is a cool feature,
Yeah.
I wonder how often it'll actually be usable.
Mm-hmm.
You need a clear view of the sky, right?
It's incredible how satellite communication is becoming more mainstream. But yeah, tree cover or buildings could be an issue.
Right.
It's not a replacement for traditional cellular service,
Right.
but definitely a valuable tool to have in emergencies, especially for those who like to adventure or travel to remote areas. It's about providing that extra layer of security and peace of mind.
Okay, so maybe not for your everyday city dweller.
Right.
but definitely a game changer for certain folks. And finally, let's talk about something that seems to be increasingly important to consumers these days. Sustainability.
Yeah.
Over 30% recycled content, 100% recycled cobalt in the battery. Are they trying to make the most eco-friendly iPhone yet?
Apple's been pushing sustainability for a while now, but this is a big step. The 16E boasts 85% recycled aluminum in the enclosure, and the packaging is entirely fiber-based.
Wow.
They've also redesigned the main logic board and back glass to be manufactured more efficiently, using fewer raw materials. It's a holistic approach to sustainability, looking at the entire life cycle of the phone.
Right.
From manufacturing to packaging.
So they're not just throwing around buzzwords. They're actually putting in the effort.
Absolutely.
But is this just good PR, or are they actually leading the charge here?
It's interesting they're not being quiet about it. They're highlighting these sustainability efforts in their marketing, which makes sense. Consumers are increasingly demanding eco-friendly products. It's no longer just a niche concern. People want to know that the tech they're buying is produced ethically and sustainably.
It's a sign of the times, for sure.
Absolutely.
Right, we've covered a lot of ground here with the 16E's hardware and features, but I think we need to delve a little deeper into this Apple Intelligence thing.
Yeah.
What are the implications of having all this AI baked into our phones?
It's a big question.
We'll tackle that in part 2 of this deep dive.
Welcome back. We were just discussing how Apple is really pushing what an affordable phone can be with this 16E.
Right, it's like they're saying you don't have to break the bank to experience the future of tech, but I'm still kind of stuck on this whole Apple Intelligence thing.
Yeah.
It's cool that it can recognize stuff and do all these like smart actions, but isn't there a risk that it's learning a little too much about us?
That's a valid concern for sure. As AI gets more integrated into our lives, I think that line between convenience and privacy definitely starts to blur a little bit.
Yeah.
But remember, Apple is emphasizing on-device processing with the 16E. So a lot of that AI work is happening right there on the phone, not on some like distant server farm.
Right.
It's like having a brainy personal assistant who's sworn to secrecy.
Okay, so it's not like Apple is like sitting there collecting all of our data.
Right.
And using it for like nefarious purposes.
They're definitely aware of those concerns and they're taking steps to address them. They're even using something called private cloud compute for tasks that need more power.
Okay.
But they claim your data isn't stored there.
But still, though, the idea of my phone constantly analyzing my habits and preferences, it just feels a bit unsettling. Like it knows me better than I know myself.
It's the paradox of AI, isn't it? It can anticipate our needs and make our lives so much easier.
Right.
But it also requires a certain level of trust.
Yeah.
And that trust needs to be earned.
So how do we as users kind of navigate this whole brave new world of AI-powered devices? It feels like we're all just kind of figuring it out as we go.
I think the key is to be informed and proactive. Don't be afraid to dive into the settings, understand what data is being collected, and choose what you're comfortable sharing.
Right.
Knowledge is power, even in the age of AI.
Right. We don't have to blindly accept whatever these tech companies throw at us.
Exactly.
We have a voice, and we can use it to help shape the way that AI evolves.
Absolutely. And the 16E, with its emphasis on privacy and on device processing, I think it could be a step in the right direction. It's a conversation starter, at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. Switching gears a bit, remember how we joked about those graphically demanding AAA titles?
Oh, yeah.
If the 16E actually delivers on that gaming front, it could really disrupt the mobile gaming landscape. Imagine console-quality gaming, but on a device that fits in your pocket.
It's not just about the graphics, though. It's about how developers leverage the A18's processing power and features like ray tracing to create these immersive and innovative gameplay experiences. We could be on the verge of a mobile gaming renaissance.
And with that impressive battery life, you could actually play for hours
Exactly.
without having to worry about your phone like dying mid-battle.
Right.
That's always been like a huge pain point for mobile gamers.
Absolutely. It's all about breaking down those barriers between mobile and console gaming. And the 16E seems to be doing just that.
Okay, I'm getting excited now. But before we get too carried away with these visions of the future, let's bring things back down to earth and talk about something very tangible.
Yeah.
The 16E's commitment to sustainability. We've talked about all this cool tech in the 16E and like its potential impact on AI and gaming. But one thing that really stood out to me is how Apple is trying to make this a more eco-friendly device.
Yeah, it definitely feels like more than just a marketing gimmick this time.
Right. It's more than just slapping a recycled label on the box.
Exactly. They've really gone deep with this, using 85% recycled aluminum in the enclosure, 100% recycled cobalt in the battery. They even got rid of plastic from the packaging entirely.
And they redesigned components like the logic board and the back glass to make manufacturing more efficient, it makes you wonder why this wasn't like the standard all along.
Well, there's always that cost-benefit analysis, right? And historically, sustainable materials and processes haven't always been the most financially attractive option. But I think we're seeing that shift now. Consumer demand is changing.
Yeah.
And companies like Apple are responding.
It's like that saying, vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
People are showing that they care about the environment, and it's pushing the whole industry in a greener direction.
Absolutely. And Apple's not shying away from promoting these efforts either. It's a key part of their messaging for the 16E, which I think tells you something about who they're targeting with this phone.
Yeah, they're betting that people who are drawn to a more affordable iPhone also care about its environmental impact.
Right.
Which is a smart move, especially as younger generations become more and more eco-conscious.
Absolutely. It raises an interesting question, though. Will we reach a point where sustainability is no longer like a selling point?
Right.
It just becomes the expectation for all tech products.
That would be amazing, to reach a point where we don't have to compromise between having cool new gadgets and then protecting the planet.
It's an ambitious goal, but I think the 16E shows that it's possible to push the boundaries of both technology and sustainability at the same time.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the iPhone 16E, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I think it's the understanding that our tech choices really matter. Every purchase is a vote for the kind of future we want to create. And the 16E is just one example, but it's a sign that things are moving in the right direction.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining me on this exploration of the iPhone 16E. It's been a fascinating journey, and I can't wait to see how this phone shakes things up in the real world.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what